Welcome to another show of the Heartland Cycling Network. Today we've got a very special guest, Les Snyder, and he calls himself the Chief Fun Officer with Pedego Electric Bikes. So Les, thanks for coming on to the show.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Heartland Cycling Network. Tell me about Pedego. I mean, when did you guys open up? I mean, I didn't even know that you were in the Omaha area.
We were fortunate enough to get our store open April 1st of this year.
Okay. Where are you located?
We're located at 144th and F Street, just south of L Street.
Okay, well that's right off of the West Papio Trail and the 144th Street Trail.
There's no coincidence there.
Oh, okay. So you picked the location.
Absolutely.
Location.
You bet.
Very important. Very good. So, all right. So what motivates you about getting into cycling?
My motivation was personal. I started looking at getting an e-bike because I hadn't been on a bike for years, didn't feel like I could ride a bike, and started looking for e-bikes and kind of fell in love with Pedego and then decided I needed to bring Pedego to Omaha.
Okay. Well, where did you end up finding Pedego? I mean, I've seen it on the internet, Facebook groups and other things, people discussing that brand.
Yeah, at the time we were looking at it, Pedego had about 180 dealers around the country. We were visiting my son in North Carolina and went to ride Pedegos there because there was a dealer in that area, and that was when we fell absolutely in love with them.
Okay, well that's very good, interesting. So, give me the 30-second elevator speech on Pedego.
Pedego's been around for 14 years as an electric bike company, started in Huntington Beach, California. As a result, they've refined the brand and what the brand does and what the bikes do for a lot of years, a lot more than most that are out there in the market. And they build a spectacular bike. It's a bike that's going to be your forever bike, and we stand behind them with a 5-year warranty to boot.
Okay, that sounds interesting. So, in terms of cycling, I mean, you yourself, you say you're just getting back into it, you might say, you haven't ridden, and that's sort of what motivated you to get into Pedego with an electric bike, electric assist.
Right.
Okay, tell people a little bit about electric assist bikes.
Sure. Electric assist bikes come in 3 different categories: Class 1s, Class 2s, and Class 3s. Class 1 bikes have pedal assist only. They help you ride as the motor helps ease the burden of riding, particularly when you're tackling hills. Class 2s are the same type of pedal assist, but they also have a throttle on them and allow you to ride without pedaling if you're using the throttle. And a Class 3 is simply the same bike, but it's outfitted to be able to go 28 miles an hour as opposed to the 20 miles an hour that the Class 1s and Class 2s are limited to.
Okay, so what does Pedego actually sell?
Pedego sells currently Class 1s and Class 2s.
Okay.
Our bikes are software upgradable to Class 3s, which will be released later this year.
Okay, all right. All right, so that's and you've got one here today, and I'm looking at that, and that to me would be a cruiser style.
Correct.
Okay, just because of the tires, the handlebar setup, you're sitting more upright, so for comfort and everything. What do the, let's say, Pedego bikes, I mean, they're priced from a certain level and they go up. I mean, what would be and let's say, what would somebody that's looking for a bike say, what do I need to invest?
Yeah, an entry-level bike you can get into for under $2,000.
Okay.
And you can move all the way up to models like this. This is one of our higher-end models and gets you just north of $4,000 with a bike.
Okay, okay. And that, I mean, there's other things that come in, like the motors, the battery sizes,
Correct.
The displays, all those things are probably factors in there.
The batteries are a significant part of the cost of a bike, and you can buy longer range batteries. You got a standard battery and a long range battery that's available with all of our bikes.
Okay, okay. As far as this particular bike, I'm looking at the battery size on there. What is this, one of your longer range batteries?
This is. The battery, the physical size of the battery on this bike, we have a standard and a long range that fit that same physical size. But the long range battery has 17.5 amp hours of, it's kind of like thinking of gas tanks. It's like a bigger gas tank than you have if you have a 12-gallon gas tank. The amp hours really help the amp hours and total voltage really define the distance and range you're getting on a bike. These bikes have got a range probably comfortably for most riders in this market where you're not climbing mountains, north of 50 miles, and a rider that puts some of the effort into it is going to get north of 60 miles on these bikes.
Okay, so that's basically how far you can pedal. Of course, conditions, like you said, hills are one of the factors.
Headwinds.
Headwinds? Okay.
You're
I was
in
going to
Nebraska.
say headwinds. And that's one thing that people may not think of, like when they're driving their car. It's the same factors that come into play there. The hills and headwinds. You're going into a headwind, you're not going to get as much mileage. So same thing here. Now, do your displays actually sort of say this is what your anticipated range might be? Or
unlike a car where you may have a display that's saying you got this much left in your gas tank, or in terms of miles, anticipated miles, you have a battery gauge that tells you what percentage of your battery's been consumed. And you could be riding into a headwind and be getting, you could see your battery heating up, but as you're turning around and going back with the wind at your back, you may come home with a quarter tank of gas left because the wind was helping you.
Yeah. So it's something that maybe an e-bike rider would have to be somewhat more aware of, in the sense of you have to sort of monitor some of these other things too. Otherwise, it's not that you can't pedal these things. I mean, that's why they have pedals. That's why they are e-bicycles.
Right. Yeah, if you run out of gas, so to speak, at least you can still pedal these home. It's a heavier bike than a road bike is going to be that you see out on the trails, but you could still pedal this home.
Okay. So what kind of styles? I mean, this was a cruiser. You have other style bikes that you offer at Pedego?
We have 3 cruiser styles, which are really the bread and butter of our line. And we have a boomerang style, which has an ultra low step through that really helps people who have mobility issues get on and off a bike. They only have to be able to, if you can climb stairs, you can climb on this bike because it's only an 8-inch step through. And it's in a cruiser style setup. The seat's a little further back in terms of its angle to the pedal position. So it's more comfortable for a lot of people who have both neck, shoulder, and hip issues, and even knee issues. And our other 2 cruiser styles are this and our Comfort Cruiser, which is basically the same frame as this, but in a lower power motor and comes in at a much lower price. We then have a very mountain bike that has the straight handlebars. The battery's in the center of the stem, has a rear hub, and has a 749 watt motor, which is what our midline bikes have as well. And then we have the big fat tire bikes that are kind of the do-anything bike. They've got a 4-inch tire on them. You can go anywhere, climb anything, go on rocks, go on gravel, go through whatever kind of terrain. Beaches are really great. They sell really well in beach areas. We don't have many of those around here, but we've got some people that have bought them that go down on the river and ride.
I was going to say that, I mean, there's still some trail systems around the Omaha area that Thor, the Trails Have Our Respect group, actually maintain at various parks around the area. And that would be, one of the kind of bikes, besides your mountain bikes, I'm sure that would be good for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They call them shredding, right?
Shredding,
shred the
That's
trail.
what those guys call them.
Yeah. So you touched upon a little bit about the needs that some of these bikes actually fill in terms of your prospects. And so you're seeing different kinds of people come in, but you're seeing a lot of those people that may have some mobility issues or would like to get out and do some physical activity, but it's just like it's harder for them to do. This sort of eliminates maybe one of the factors to a certain extent.
Yeah, that's showing is a pretty significant part of our customer base. We've had spouses who are interested in helping their partner get back out on a bike to enjoy the outdoors. Maybe one spouse or the other is still riding a bike and they used to enjoy biking together, and this gives them a way to get back and bike. We've also got young mothers of young children who are hooking a trailer to the back of their bike and carrying their kids to daycare and then commuting to work. So the span is wide. Our oldest customer on a bike right now that we're aware of is 83 years old, and that we've sold a bike to, and our youngest customers are probably in their mid-20s.
Okay, so it runs a pretty wide gamut. And of course, then the special interest ones with the mountain biking, fat tire, and I mean, like I said, those things can go just about anywhere. They're
Right.
like ATVs in that sense.
Yeah.
I
We've
mean,
got some deer hunters that have been talking about buying them and taking them to
oh,
their
okay.
tree stands and stuff, yes.
That's an interesting use of them. I guess I never
Right.
put that together. And then, of course, if they carry a wagon or a trailer of some sort, they can haul their game out as well. Okay. You sell trailers then too?
We do. We carry Burley trailers.
Burley, okay. Very interesting. Okay, good. So I mean, we sort of touched upon a little bit that you sort of found Pedego when you were visiting down in North Carolina, and you just thought that was the brand that you thought, hey, we need to bring this into Omaha?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. All right. What I'm looking at here, I see like your bike, it's actually got some sort of suspension on the seat post. I don't see that often.
Yeah, this is a Connects seat post. This bike comes with what's called a thud buster seat post, and you can Google it if you want to see what these are. They're both suspension seat posts. I just happen to be a fan of the Connects versus the thud buster. And when customers buy this level of bike, they're going to get the standard thud buster on it. They can swap it out. It does an amazing job for me personally. My tail end's the first thing that goes numb on me on a bike, and I've tried all kinds of seats, and this has really made a big difference in my riding. My mileage has gotten, I can ride out my battery now if I really have that much time on my hands.
Okay.
But it makes a huge difference for people who are, that's their first point of pain when they're out riding a bike.
Okay, so you find the solutions to the various problems that people have with bikes, and then if they're riding one of yours, then okay, you're experiencing this, here's another possible solution.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We ask customers during the buying process and after the buying process, we make sure they're aware of the changes we can make to bikes to make their bike riding more comfortable. A lot of it's just in the setup of the bike. Doesn't cost anything to adjust the bike properly. Instead of sending people home with a bike that they have no idea how to properly set the handlebars or have the proper seat height for their riding needs, we get all that done for them, and we fine tune the bikes when they come back in we have them come back in after 100 miles. That way we can ask them, what's going on with your elbows, your shoulders, and we can make adjustments to the bike that can really tune the bike to them and let them get a lot more bike riding enjoyment out of their bike.
Okay. You've only been here a couple of months, been open a couple of months now, several months, since April 1st. Has there been any accomplishments? Obviously, selling bikes is one thing, that let's say that you or your store have actually already accomplished in this shorter period of time?
Well, it's a tough question in the sense I hadn't thought of that question before coming in here.
Any things that you've done within the community that might be helpful?
I was going to say we haven't been open very long, but we came into the community. I've been part of the Omaha community since 1994, and came into the community with the idea that we were going to be supportive of the organizations that my wife and I are particularly caring about. We have supported Micah House in Council Bluffs, a homeless shelter helping homeless women with children. Through donating a bike at an auction. We will be very active with Project Pink, which is a breast cancer organization based here in Omaha, and all the money stays in Omaha with Project Pink, and helping that organization raise funds. Those things are taking place later this year, but we've got deep connections with that organization due to personal experience on our side.
Okay. Well, you're into cycling. What things have you noticed in the Omaha area and the Heartland that is relevant to cycling that you think, hey, there might be some improvements that could be made?
Well, I think anybody in cycling would say there can always be improvement to our trail systems. Trail systems in the city of Omaha are relatively extensive, but we've got disconnected components of our trail system, and I realize those things have to get funded by the city. And then we've got some state systems, and they're either part of the state park systems or part of the Rails to Trails programs, and working with organizations and trying to help drive the benefit of funding those programs and getting those things to completion so that they can be maintained for years to come to help cycling continue to grow in Nebraska.
Okay. Good. Have you seen any kind of resistance to e-bikes? Either individuals or even governmental bodies. I mean, Nebraska's pretty understanding as far as the laws are concerned.
Yeah, we obviously, before investing in a business in e-bikes, we researched the laws in Nebraska, the laws in Omaha. The laws in Omaha, they're really not laws. They're tied to the Parks and Recreation Department rules for the parks, because all the trails in Omaha are maintained and run by the Parks and Recreation Department. Parks and Recreation Department rules say we follow the Nebraska laws fundamentally, and then they have a section that was added last July that acknowledges the existence of e-bikes and allows e-bikes specifically allows e-bikes on the trails in Omaha, which was nice to get that codified so there was no blurry
I
area
remember that coming about, and prior to that, there was actually talk of a
banning them.
on e-bikes on all trails.
That's
and
correct.
I know a couple of organizations that I support and am part of. We got involved to voice our concern because even if you don't ride an e-bike, and at that time I did not ride an e-bike, I did not want to shut that down because it does open the opportunity for getting more people on bikes.
Yes, I mean, that's the thing I see and that I'm really proud of what we're doing is we get people on bikes, and if this is the way to get them on bikes, then so be it. It's what's better for you than getting out on a bike and having the wind in your face. I mean, it's therapy.
Yeah, therapy, you talk about therapy. It's like, it's physical therapy, because having an e-bike doesn't mean you're not working out.
It does not.
Okay, you are getting workout. Okay, it may not be as rigorous as a regular two-wheel bike, but that doesn't mean that you're not getting your heart rate up, you're not getting your legs moving and exercising. So yeah, that's important. Besides, I call it the mental and maybe spiritual therapies that you have when you're out there in the outdoors.
Oh, absolutely. And I've had so many people already in the decision-making process who, when you talk about them, why are you looking at e-bikes? The answer is it's to get my tail end off the couch and outside. And this is probably the only thing that's going to do it. I've tried other things; they're too physically demanding on me. And while e-bikes definitely have physical demands, we all rode a bike as a kid.
Yeah.
That muscle memory and those brain cells fire up. It all comes back. We work with customers a lot to make sure that they're comfortable and balanced and riding the bike properly before we go, hey, go fly and spread your wings. And we help get people back on bikes that are just otherwise feeling very confined and don't have a way out of the house.
Yeah, I have to admit that one of the things about the Class 2 e-bikes that I may not have liked originally, but I think it's really a nice feature. Like you said, you get that little boost if you want to push the button to go up a hill, okay? But I also think that one of the reasons that a bicycle works is that there's the centrifugal force and the balance that comes when you're starting to move. And if you don't move, and that's where the throttle helps, it can get you started easier. For people with mobility issues, I think that's one of the big pluses.
Yeah, we coach people when they're riding and they're coming to trails that are going to cross roads and intersections, is learn to use the throttle to do that. There's much less chance of an accident, foot slipping off a pedal, being geared in the wrong gear where you can't get up your speed to cross a road, and the throttle kind of makes you more comfortable being able to tackle those kind of situations without fear, with less fear.
Yeah, very good, yeah. So, let's see. I was reading here about getting people off the couch. I really think that is one of the big pluses of cycling. And with the last several years, COVID has been one of those things that's really shut people down to a certain extent, but I think it also has caused people to get outdoors a little bit more. And bicycles, have you seen that as sort of a result? I mean, you haven't been open that long, but do you think that interest is there because of that?
Well, I mean, Pedego had its banner years were 2020, 2021, because people were finding ways to get out and be able to get out of the house and outdoors. It continues now. We're just the beneficiaries of it here, about 2 years late from the peaks. But our demand is high. We've been selling a bike a day, so we're doing well in terms of the bike business.
Okay. Do you think the high gas prices have anything to do with some of this?
Oh, absolutely.
Is that something that people are coming in for?
We've got people coming in. I was talking about the mothers that are commuting with their kids and using a bike to get to work. That comes into play. I've got people who, work's just 6 miles away from home, and it takes me just as long. I can jump on a bike and be at work just as fast as I can jump in my car and be at work, and it costs me a whole lot less money than the gas I was going to burn getting there. So absolutely coming into play.
Okay. So, okay, that's good. In terms of, I mean, you have people riding on the trails and people riding on the roads. And I think one of the things that I look at is motorists not fully understanding that people on bikes can be on a road. And it was just the other day I was reading a Facebook post on a group, and it was local too. And somebody was saying that they were getting yelled at for riding on the sidewalk.
Get off.
And yet riding on the road, in that particular road, was like dangerous. I mean, and I ride a bike, and there are times when I go on to the sidewalk too, just because riding on the road is like an invitation to suicide. I'm sorry, it's just not good.
No question, yeah.
So what do you think we can do as cyclists, and you as a Pedego shop owner can do to help educate not only, everybody about people on bikes being on the road?
In the shop we have our customers who are already looking at buying bikes, but I do think that there's a searing hole of lack of education to the consumer in general, the motorist in general, that we all rode bikes as kids, but some of us never rode a bike after we turned 16 and got 4 wheels under us, and we lost, that connection got lost. It was like, I'm driving a car now, forget my bike. And what we don't seem to have going on in this country is any concerted mass marketing type of educational effort to help people know that the roads are to be shared. The bikes have as much right to be on the roads, and that's national and state laws.
Yeah, I know it's in the Nebraska driver's license, section 6.
Yeah.
Just look in there, that in the driver's manual, it talks about bikes on the roads and what they have the responsibility for, and you as a motorist have the responsibility for.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily like just a 3-foot rule. I think it's
3 foot's a little
6 foot.
tight.
Should be 6 foot.
Yes.
But I mean,
people
most people I have not had a problem with. When I've been road riding, they usually are giving me more than 6 feet. They'll usually pull over into the other lane and pass you by.
Yeah.
Nobody's really gotten on my tail if they couldn't get around me or whatever until it became safe for them to do so.
Yeah, in my riding, I haven't had any encounters with motorists that have been a negative encounter. I haven't had any negative encounters riding around anywhere I've ridden in Omaha. So.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. All right. Well, Les, I appreciate you coming. I think your title is really kind of interesting. You're the Chief Fun Officer, so you bring fun into people's lives and get them out on bikes, and that's important. And I hope you do very well. E-bikes are a very big part of the cycling future, and they will continue to evolve. And I know that some people are already asking me, well, do you have like a hybrid version that recharges the battery while you're riding?
Yeah, we get that question a lot.
And I'm going, no, that gets all kind of complicated.
It does.
And you add more weight and all that other stuff, and then it becomes more of an issue. But anyhow, they will evolve. They continue to change and get better, and people can get on a bike and really enjoy themselves. So if you're looking for a bike, make sure you consider Pedego over in West Omaha, 144th and F Street. Really appreciate you, Les, for being on the show. And I just want to remind all our viewers to pedal on.
Thank you.